Baruch Hashem, it feels so good to be able to learn Torah together while the world is basically falling apart. And
extra sheets, right?
sure, yeah, there should be extra Gemaras up there, Sanhedrin's up there. Everyone who wants a Gemara. Oh, and Yeshulem has extra sheets for anybody that wants. Always a good idea to have the sheets. So it's a big schus. Oh, it's Sadi on the base. Okay, so you can look inside the Gemaras. I want to dedicate the learning to the Refuah Shleima, the complete healing of Moshe Yitzchak ben Sarah Gittel. Should have a full healing. It's my brother's father-in-law. Should be totally, he was diagnosed with a certain disease right now, Yana Machla. It should be a total, full, complete recovery immediately. Bezrat Hashem, amen.
Amen.
Okay, so we're speaking about how do we respond to heretics. And tzaddik, exactly, tzaddik. And specifically we're addressing the question of where we find the resurrection of the dead inside the text of the Chumash, inside the text of the written Torah, the Bible. And that's very important because the billions of people in humanity around the world that accept the Jewish Bible, the written Torah, we are now bringing proof after proof that inside the Torah itself shows allusion and definitive source over and over. There's many more we're not even going to go into. Many more proofs, more than we've already covered, and many more that we will even cover. Including we're going to see a surprise ending with Cleopatra today, like we mentioned, Queen of Egypt, who married the Caesar and then Mark Antony, and had not the most pleasant end to her life, but it could be the fascination of being in Egypt with life after death, that she wanted to know more about what it would look like. Yeah.
We've discussed a little bit in the past that there's a reality to certain forms of idol worship that they're tapping into, that it's obviously misplaced, but there's real energy there. Would that same thing be accurate in some sense for various post-life practices in places like Egypt and Babylon, with things like mummies and burying them with riches? Like, is there any?
Yeah, in Egypt they're obsessed. It's obvious with death, but really life after death. There's really two ways you can spin it. There's either life after death with God, or there's life after death, but pushing away from God, and life after death through some lowercase God. Either you don't believe in anything, which, by the way, that's a very new idea. People believe in things that a person stands up and says, I don't believe in anything. Like, you're a new kid on the block. Like, who are you not to believe in anything? And by the way, they do believe in something. Like Bob Dylan said, everyone's got to be, everyone believes in something. You got to serve somebody. So everyone's serving. The fact that somebody says, I don't believe, you've really thought about that? Are you sure that's actually a worked out position that you thought about? Or are you just towing the party line? You're just going with what people kind of said. So everyone believed back then. We're going to see from Cleopatra. It was obvious that she was quite learned. So either your beliefs stem from God and the Torah that He gave us, and that inside the Torah you see that there's evidence to the world to come, or in the case of the Egyptians, it was a belief in an idol. Generally, they worshipped, like as is evidenced from all of their practices, snake, which of course is the dark side. It's snakes coming out of every pharaoh costume. Of course, I bought them all. You're like, what, Rabbi? I thought we're against that. But who's going to dress up as Pharaoh on Passover night? If I don't do it. And that's why when my kids see Pharaoh show up, and I tell the next day, like, how is this Seder? Like Tati dressed up as Pharaoh. He came to the Passover Seder? I'm like, really? Like, no, Tati, it was you. No, I just went out for a few minutes to the bathroom, and I just had to get help even in the kitchen. Pharaoh came? Like, no, Tati. You gotta really get involved. So I bought all the Amazon Pharaoh ones, man. Of course, you can come to me next year for Passover.
Amen.
Mizrat Hashem. So they have a big snake thing there, and it's not just like they're worshiping a garden snake. They're worshiping snake energy. They're worshiping basically the snake incarnate. They're worshiping the Yetzer Hara. They're worshiping those areas where they think that they can get something, but they can circumvent God. Not a good idea. That's a lot of basically where idol worship is in its quintessential form, is let me worship the ministers and not have to go to the source itself. Let me go to the generals of the army as opposed to going to the king himself. And because the generals have power, the ministers have power. So if I just go to the minister, he'll grant me tickets to where I need to go. And our message to the entire world is Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. There's only one. God is one. There's no other address. Okay, so we're bringing another proof today. We're going to see 3 proofs. We're just building them up. Okay, look actually inside. We're going to go down in the wide lines, the fat lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines down. Towards the middle it says Ad. Ad she'amar lahem mikra zeh asher nishpa Hashem. 8 lines down in the fat lines. Maybe 2/3 of the way down. Ad. You have the spot? Now, why did some of it we mentioned is already side points in the Gemara. This was basically a back and forth between heretics and the rabbis. And then the rabbi just delivers the final blow, the kill shot, where he just gives a number of proofs, and the heretic says, but, and then he gives 2 more proofs, and the heretic says, yeah, there's nothing I can say about those ones.
Just like finish it up.
Exactly, which means even the ones that the heretic wiggles out of, you'll see they're not. He's like side skirting it, but they're pretty strong. And then 2 more are mentioned, and he has nothing to say. And this is there's pages of these.
You give the proof also to people when the Tanaim,
Yeah, it was a famous pastime. Nowadays we don't do this anymore. Nobody actually has real debates. It's all emotional, just like name calling. It's so sad. It used to be in a presidential debate. There was actually 2 meeting of people and the wit and the intelligence presenting arguments and nowadays just name calling. We've degraded in our ability to defend the position and stand behind it and speak about it in a critical way. And really, I invite anybody who's seeing how much the world is falling apart in critical thinking to come to yeshiva. Come join us in yeshiva. Come, call up Rabbi Karjeret and come and join us. Come and you're going to have a space here. Maybe the first time in your entire life, you can think critically. And we allow for that, dude. Anything you want to talk about, it's on the table. There's nothing that's not on the table. Anything. But it's going to offend the rabbi? No. We allow all conversation to happen here. Top of the First Amendment. No, the freedom of speech exists here. It's alive and well. Everything is on the table. So let's see this proof. Let's see this point. Ad she'amar lahem mikra zeh. Okay, so Reb Gamliel was having a conversation with the heretics, and he told them this verse: Asher nishpa Hashem laviseichem laseis lahem. It's a verse, if you want to look it up, it's in Deuteronomy 11:21. That Moshe Rabbeinu, by the way, this is the end of Shema, the second paragraph of Shema. Moshe Rabbeinu is speaking to the Jewish people and is telling them that they're going to have long days, they're going to have essentially a long life, and their children are going to have long life on the land. Which land? Asher nishba Hashem laviseichem. The land that Hashem swore and promised to your forefathers. He's talking to them. Before Moshe Rabbeinu is going to die, he's telling them that God promised you and your children the land. And which land is it talking about? That land that was promised to your forefathers, i.e. Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Loseis lahem, to give it to them. Again, we see them. Not to give it to you guys. You're also going to get it. I'm talking to you. But the Chiddush is, I'm also going to give it to them. Who's them? The forefathers that he just mentioned. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So the Gemara says, Lachem loy nemar. It doesn't say he's going to give it to you. We know that he's going to give it to you. He's telling you that you're going to get the land. But it says lahem. Ela lahem. So what's the Torah adding by the word to them? The ones I was just talking about. Them. Those ones. Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Mikan. What's Mikan mean? Yeah, beautiful. Sam, you're really picking up Gemara. Mikan. From here, the Tchias HaMesim in the Torah. We see the resurrection of the dead from the Torah. If you look up Rashi on the verse in Deuteronomy, you'll see it says the same thing. Rashi brings this Gemara. It says here we have a proof from the text of the Gemara. We're speaking about the forefathers, and it doesn't say that it gives it to you, i.e. the children. It says back to them, the ones I was just talking about, the forefathers. V'yesh Oimrim, that was the Kilblum. V'yesh Oimrim, and we have another rendition that Rav Gamliel gave them another kill, finish him. I grew up in the Street Fighter days. It's like I spent all my quarters like in the arcades.
Wow.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's like it's like a previous reincarnation. Those old and the Yesh Oimrim Min HaMikra Hazeh Amar Lahem. That Ram Gamliel gave them a different proof. Another verse in Deuteronomy, this time 4:4. A verse that we quote and we love so much. And you are dvekim. It's a good translation of that word.
What?
You're attached, davuk. You're attached, you're cleaving, you're glued to God. Your God. Chaim kulchem hayom. You're all alive today. Okay, we're going to read that verse again. You, the ones that are cleaving to God, Elokechem, your God, you are alive today. You're alive. Right now. So, Moshe Rabbeinu is speaking to the Jewish people. He's telling them all, you, the ones that are cleaving to God, you're alive right now. So the simple meaning is, what exactly do you mean you're alive right now? I think I know that, Moshe. You're talking to me, and we're the ones that are listening to this. I'm pretty sure I'm alive, because I can hear you talking, Moshe. If I were to tell you guys, you guys are alive. It sounds like a Tony Robbins seminar. You're alive! Be alive! You're alive! You're like, I had to come to yeshiva to hear, even if you just say it with a lot of excitement, doesn't mean that, like, I didn't know that before. No, you're alive! What's the rabbi trying to say? Like, I know that. I know I'm alive. So what's the Torah saying that Moshe was screaming to the Jewish people? You guys are all alive. As if I didn't know that before. Yes.
It's saying, Dvekim Ba'Hashem. So that's not going to happen until we're dead. Initially, right?
So that is actually one opinion how to read this Gemara. It's amazing you're saying that. That's one opinion how to read this Gemara. That the fact that you're davuk in Hashem, can you fully cleave to God? Yeah, cleave means like when you hug somebody, it's like you're cleaving to them. So how can you fully cleave to God? You're in a human form. So one opinion actually says that was the proof, is that it can't be that Moshe was telling you you're going to cleave to God, because how does a human mortal person cleave to an infinite God? The answer is after the resurrection, and we're going to be refined like we were before Adam ate from the tree. We're going to be godly. Even our physicality is going to be so refined. Then we're going to be able to have that dvekus. That is one way to learn this. The simple way is that when Moshe said, you guys are all alive today, the Gemara says, Pshita. The Chaim Kulchem Hayom. We know that we're alive. So what were you trying to tell me, Moshe? Ella, what's Ella mean? So rather, it doesn't mean, Moshe wasn't trying to tell you that you guys are all alive. We know that. I can hear you speak, Moshe. Ella, rather, is retracting that erroneous belief that that's what the verse meant, because that's obvious. Ella, rather, afilu b'yoyim shekola olam kuloi mesim, rather, even during the time when the entire world will be dead, atem chayim, you will be alive. The way that you're alive now, and you all know that you're alive right now, life is something that's very real. You know that you're alive. You're so sure of it that someone can't convince you that you're not. It's life itself. In the same way that you know that you're alive now, you're going to be alive again when people won't be alive. And why hayoim? Ma hayoim? Just like today, kulchem v'kayamim, you are alive and you know it. Af la'olam haba, also in the world to come, kulchem v'kayamim. All of you will be alive and will be well, yeah.
It's said that we preserve our identities.
Yeah, the world to come is the sum total and more of everything that you achieved and every free will decision you made. That is who is in the world to come. It's not like all of a sudden you're going to get like, who's this? No. You, the sum total of you, is who shows up there. And that's why there's going to be no feelings of like, I didn't deserve this, or this is not just, or this is not fair. Because they show you every single thing that you did, all the decisions you made. And the responsibility that you take is so real, because you realize I chose it. I did this. This is all a product of what I chose. It's the ultimate responsibility for one's actions. That's who shows up. It's total responsibility, totally taking responsibility for our actions, which is the opposite of the way the world is now. Everything's about blaming. Everything's about blaming. This one, because of this person and this boss and this childhood thing, and it could be that those things affected us, but at the end of the day, every person has to take responsibility for their life now. Whatever cards were given to you, now you have to play them. It's a very Jewish thing. And by the way, the cards that were given to you were because in a previous lifetime you did something to get those cards. So, we believe in total responsibility for our actions. Whereas the world says the opposite. I don't want to take responsibility for anything. I don't want to do anything. I just want everything handed up to me on a silver platter. I'll just take stimulus checks. I'm not even going to go to work. I won't do anything. It's insane. It's better for people not to go to work now. They can make more just sitting and watching Netflix at home than actually going and working. That's the consciousness that we have to fight against as people of the Torah. It just shows you how challenging it is in this day and age, because we're fighting such a strong motion to say, everything's coming to me, I don't want to do any work. I don't want to take any responsibility for my actions. Okay? We say the opposite. We say you're alive today, those who cleave to God. And of course, cleaving to God means Torah and mitzvahs. I wanted to get to Cleopatra today, yes?
Just a question, like, we're using this as a proof for transformation, where you're being resurrected from the dead, but it seems as though it's like more of a proof of your neshama. Like you have a neshama that's an infinite thing that's going to reconnect to the Creator, not necessarily like the body or the physical. Like I'm having a hard time.
So the first one that we said is that you're going to be given the land that was promised to your forefathers, meaning them. So there, you're going to come back on this land. This land is going to be theirs, i.e. Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov are going to come back. They're going to be right here. We say, here we're talking about that in the same way that you are alive right now, you are going to be, and you don't need to tell me that you're alive right now because I know that you're alive right now, you're going to be alive when the whole world is not alive. And the same way that you're alive, like this, like really physically alive, you're going to be physically alive in the times of the resurrection.
It's weird. Like it's like even in the land part, it's like you're gonna get some type of real estate with Hashem. Like even though it's not a physical thing, we know
The Tchias HaMesim, the first resurrection will be a physical, according to almost all opinions, will be a physical. Basically, this is it. You're going to be back in this world. You're going to be back in the world. But there's going to be complete world peace. It's an amazing thing. The world is going to be, and all the prophecies are going to be completely surrounding world peace. All the governments are going to listen to Mashiach, like we talked about. All the distribution of wealth. It's going to be amazing. People are just going to learn Torah nonstop. It's a time of perfecting oneself. All you're going to want to do is basically come to yeshiva.
What's left to perfect?
So, according to the Rambam and basically all opinions, is that during the times of Mashiach, that is the final perfecting time. That during this time when we're so persecuted and we have so many struggles to sit and learn Torah and to actually refine a person's character traits, so it's harder. And there's a lot that's been missing. Comes Mashiach, all of our needs are going to be provided for. All the wealth is going to return to those that are sharing the Torah with the world, because that's going to be the ultimate value. Not islands and Porsches. It's going to be, and spaceships. It's going to be going on a spaceship in the Gemara. It's all the money is going to be, space, G, Gemara. Everything is going to go to the Gemara. Everything's going to go to learning Torah. And here's the interesting is the catch-22. We're going to have all the opportunity now to learn and grow and perfect ourselves, but we're not going to have the struggle anymore. So the reward's going to be less. The reward, the schar, the reward's going to be less because we earned it less. If everything is obvious that the purpose of existence is to be close to Hashem, and all the enemies of the world are no longer enemies, and they're all like, can you send me a quick link to your Bitcoin? Let me just give you 5,000 Bitcoin. Take that for a couple days. Buy whatever you need, and that's the way the world is going to look like. So you don't have such a struggle anymore. Well, I would have to go to work, or I'd have to learn a page of Gemara. That's going to be done with. Or should I go to the nightclub and do something I shouldn't be doing, or come to learn Torah? Because nightclubs are going to be turned into base medrashes. There's going to be no more of that. So we are going to perfect ourselves through the learning of Torah and mitzvahs, but it's not with a struggle. And that period will go on until the year 6000, and then we'll go transition to the world to come. But we will perfect, but it won't be as earned. And that's why the big tzaddikim say, this is the time when the forces of darkness are the strongest, that you're choosing. That's how we're appealing to anybody who wants to come and learn Torah with us. This is the time to make. You want to make a return on investments? This is the time when all forces are telling you the otherwise, and that you, through strong free will, you actually make a decision to come and grow and learn. This is where you make, and you actually transform yourself and become like God. Yeah.
Is it held that the Goyim are also going to be obligated to mitzvahs in that?
All of the nations of the world are going to have mitzvahs. They already now. No, they have 7 mitzvahs, B'nai Noach.
I mean,
And
then.
even then, those who convert will have all the 613. But it's a big discussion if there can be any more converts in the times of Mashiach. Why is that? It's going to be so obvious. But all we're going to want to do is just cleave to God. So in the time now where it's not clear. So now is the time. Now is the time for coming and learning and growing. And most people realize that what they're selling on the streets and what they're selling selling out there on the colleges is not exactly. It's not it. People realize it's not. They're not. The merchandise isn't so good anymore. So come to a place where you can really learn to think and grow and perfect our souls. We should be zeichet to this. Amen.
Hey.
Have a great day, Rabbi Isai. To be continued. We didn't get to Cleopatra.